Welcome back, Warner fam. Today, I'll recap a horror mystery film, Smile 2, so keep your eyes wide open and stay safe. The movie starts 6 days after the first film. Joel, who saw Rose's tragic end, has been haunted by the terrifying Smile entity all week. Desperate to end the curse, Joel tracks down a group of drug dealers. He sneaks up on one of them with a gun, forcing the dealer to walk inside. The dealer's brother watches in shock as Joel suddenly stabs the man, hoping to pass the curse, but things go horribly wrong. The brother fires back and a deadly shootout follows. Joel manages to take the brother down, but now there's a problem. The curse needs a witness to survive, and that man was supposed to live. Joel starts panicking. That's when another dealer, Louis Fergoli, sees everything. More gang members show up chasing Joel through the streets. He runs for his life, but bam! A car hits him. His bloody body leaves a creepy smile streak across the road. We meet pop superstar Skye Riley, who's about to do a big interview with a famous talk show host. Skye seems to have it all: fame, money, and a huge career, but things haven't been easy for her. She's battled with substance and alcohol problems and is still struggling after a terrible car accident. That crash wasn't just a regular accident. It took the life of her boyfriend, actor Paul Hudson. Her mom, Elizabeth, is also her manager and keeps a close eye on her. But Skye's life isn't perfect behind the scenes. She hasn't talked to her best friend Gemma since the accident, and they used to be inseparable. Now Skye is getting ready for a big tour and hopes it'll be her big comeback. She's ready to show the world she's still got what it takes. After a meeting with her manager, Darius, and her assistant, Joshua, Skye gets a mysterious message from Louis. She sneaks off to his place to get some Vicodin for her back pain, but when she gets there, things get super weird. Louis suddenly grabs her and holds a sword to her throat. He's totally panicking, saying he doesn't remember sending any message. Something's wrong. He keeps muttering about being followed. Then, things take a terrifying turn. Louis walks into another room, and moments later he comes back screaming. Suddenly, it's like an invisible force enters him. A creepy, unnatural smile spreads across his face. Without warning, he picks up a heavy weight plate and smashes his face. Once, twice, 3 times. His skin is hanging off his jaw, and it's horrifying. Skye's stomach turns and she throws up. She almost calls 911 but stops herself. She realizes the kind of trouble she'd be in, being caught at a drug dealer's place. Skye pushes forward with her tour preparations, but the terrifying memory of what happened with Louis still haunts her. She tries to stay focused and attends a fan meet and greet. Everything seems normal at first, but then one fan, Alfredo, gets way too close during a photo. He grabs her hand and whispers something chilling. "You're beautiful. I want to take your skin." Before things get worse, security steps in and removes him. Shaken, Skye takes a quick break to calm down. When she returns to the line of fans, a young girl approaches, but instead of smiling with excitement, the girl's smile is creepy and unsettling. It sends chills down Skye's spine. Later, Skye checks her phone and sees an anonymous message. The text asks one simple but scary question: "Were you at Louis's house?" In her apartment, Skye thinks she hears a strange noise. She cautiously looks around and spots something creepy, a signed t-shirt she had given Alfredo. Then, scattered on the floor, she sees clothes, including his dirty underwear. Her heart races when she sees a shadowy figure at the end of the dark hallway. It looks like Alfredo, naked and staring at her. Suddenly, he charges toward her. Skye bolts for the door, terrified. Just as she opens it, she finds Gemma standing there. Skye had called her earlier, hoping to make things right between them. Shaken and out of breath, Skye tells Gemma about the terrifying incident with Louis. Gemma listens and decides to stay the night to support her friend. That night, as they lay in bed, Skye opens up. She talks about the deep darkness she feels inside, even from before the car accident. Gemma listens quietly, then coldly says, "It's because you're a horrible person." Suddenly, Gemma's face twists into a creepy smile. The entity has taken her form. She makes a loud car honking noise, and everything goes dark. Skye jolts awake in the morning, confused. She walks into the kitchen and finds Gemma calmly making breakfast, but something still feels off. Skye and her dancers are in the middle of rehearsals for the big tour. Everything seems fine until a sudden image of Paul flashes in her mind. Startled and distracted, Skye loses her balance and falls hard. Embarrassed and angry, she snaps at one of the dancers, accusing them of messing up her routine. Later, Skye heads back to her room to cool off, but when she opens the door, she's shocked. It's completely trashed. Clothes are everywhere and things are broken. She storms out, blaming her assistant Jonathan and yelling at him for ruining her stuff. But Elizabeth steps in and tells Skye that Jonathan wasn't even near her room. He'd been with Joshua all day. Skye's face falls as she realizes what's happening. She's starting to look out of control, and it's not a good look. Skye goes to a charity event after Darius convinces her to attend since he's the host. She doesn't really want to be there but shows up anyway. During her speech, the teleprompter freezes. Feeling stuck, she tries to wing it, sharing a bit about her personal struggles. But as she talks, her words start turning into a rant, and the crowd shifts uncomfortably. Suddenly, the teleprompter starts working again, but something's wrong. It makes her say Paul's name out loud. The audience gasps, and Skye freezes in shock. Right then, she sees Paul in the crowd, smiling and walking toward her. Panicking, she yells at Paul to stop smiling, her voice echoing through the silent room. Everything snaps back to normal, but it's not over. An older woman steps onto the stage to help Skye, but then Paul, bloodied and terrifying, appears again and grabs her arm. Skye screams and pushes away in fear, accidentally shoving the woman off the stage and onto a table with a loud crash. The audience is horrified. Without thinking, Skye runs off the stage, leaving chaos behind her. Back at home, Skye's phone keeps buzzing with messages from the unknown number. Each one feels more chilling than the last. The sender says they know exactly who she is and what she's been going through. They mention the terrifying things she's been seeing and feeling, things no one else should know. Then, Skye gets a video attachment. When she opens it, she sees a recording of Lewis. In the video, he looks scared and desperate as he talks about the entity following him. His eyes dart around like he's seeing things in the shadows. Finally, another message pops up. The person tells Skye to meet them at a public place. The question is, can she trust them? Skye sneaks into a bar, wearing a hat and sunglasses to stay hidden. There, she meets Morris, the man who's been messaging her. He looks serious and worn out, like someone carrying a heavy secret. Morris explains that his brother was one of the entity's victims. It made him do something terrible, rip his own jaw off with a crowbar. Since then, Morris has been following the trail of victims, trying to understand the pattern. He tells Skye he was the one who found Lewis's body and got her number from Lewis's phone. Then, Morris makes a shocking suggestion. He says he's a nurse and can stop Skye's heart, just long enough to trick the entity into thinking she's dead. Then, he'd bring her back before it could claim her. Skye stares at him in disbelief and quickly refuses. The idea sounds insane and terrifying. Angry and scared, she storms out of the bar, but as she tries to leave, fans start to recognize her. They crowd around, snapping pictures and asking questions, trapping her in the chaos. Skye tries to relax alone at home, hoping for a break from the madness. But as she sits down, she sees something that makes her heart stop. Her backup dancers are there, all of them wearing creepy, wide grins. Before she can move, they start coming toward her. Their smiles stay frozen, eyes locked on her. Skye jumps up and runs, but they chase her around the apartment. Everywhere she turns, they're there, getting closer and closer. Finally, they trap her in a corner. One dancer steps forward, smile still fixed, and reaches out. Skye's eyes widen in horror as it looks like they're pushing their arm down her throat. Everything goes dark, and she blacks out. A flashback takes Skye back to the night of the accident. She and Paul are in the car, both high on cocaine. Paul is driving, but he gets frustrated with Skye and calls her a psycho. This makes her furious. In a panic, she grabs the steering wheel and jerks it, causing the car to swerve off the road. The crash is violent and horrifying. Skye wakes up to a blurry, painful world. She's hurt badly, but Paul is already gone. The car is a wreck, and she can only scream in agony as the memories flood back. She feels the weight of what she's done. Skye wakes up in a hospital room feeling disoriented and confused. She's been found unconscious in her apartment and is now being checked over by doctors. Her mother, Elizabeth, is sitting by her side looking worried. Skye, feeling overwhelmed, asks if they can cancel the upcoming tour while she's still feeling so unwell. Elizabeth shakes her head, her voice firm. She warns Skye that canceling this tour would be the end of her career. She says the record label would sue them for millions, and Skye's dream would be over. Skye, frustrated and upset, tells her that she doesn't care about any of that. But just then, something terrifying happens. The entity appears in the room, looking like her mother. The illusion makes Skye lose control. She starts punching the mirror and stabbing herself over and over. In a fit of horror, she even gouges out her own eye. Panicked, Skye runs to the door, but when she looks down, she's holding a shard of glass, and her hospital gown is covered in blood. The shock hits her when she sees what looks like her real mother's dead body. She begins to freeze in fear as Joshua tries to come into the room. Desperate to escape, Skye tries to run, but Joshua spots the blood on her, and things start spiraling. Doctors and guards rush in to help her, but in a wild panic, Skye grabs a guard's gun and makes a break for it, fleeing the hospital. Skye is running through the streets, panicked and desperate. She spots Gemma and pulls out a gun, forcing her driver to stop the car. Skye demands he let her take it, so she can go find Morris. Gemma tries to stop her, but Skye won't listen. As they drive, Skye's phone rings. It's the real Gemma on the line. The voice on the other end tells her it wasn't actually Gemma who had been with her all these days. It was the entity pretending to be her. Terrified, Skye slams the car into gear and takes control. She speeds off, determined to escape whatever dark force is chasing her. With her heart racing, she manages to get away safely, but she knows the danger is far from over. Skye meets Morris at an old abandoned Pizza Hut. Hoping to find a way to escape the entity's terrifying grip, they head into the freezer, where Morris starts a process to help Skye before her brain gets damaged forever. But just as it begins, Morris suddenly leaves the freezer, leaving Skye alone. That's when the entity shows up, taking the form of Skye from the night of the accident. The creepy version of Skye attacks her, but Skye fights back. She bites its thumbs off in a panic and grabs a syringe, hoping to knock herself out before the entity can do worse. Unfortunately, it doesn't work. The entity isn't stopped. It traps Skye inside the freezer, leaving her cold and terrified, with no way out. A few moments later, Skye finds herself on stage for the first show of her big tour. She sees her mother, Elizabeth, alive in the crowd with Joshua and Darius, surrounded by hundreds of cheering fans. But something's wrong. Skye looks down and sees the entity, emerging from a shell of her own body. The entity has a hideous face and a huge, creepy body. It crawls towards Skye and forces itself into her mouth. Skye collapses in front of her fans, but then something strange happens. She suddenly stands up and smiles, her face twisted in an eerie grin. In front of her terrified fans, Skye grabs her microphone and starts smashing her head with it. She hits it so hard that the microphone goes straight through her eye, leaving the crowd in shock as they watch in horror. So, which awesome movie should we recap next? Drop your suggestions in the comments below and let's make it happen. Don't forget to smash that subscribe button so you never miss out on our movie recaps. We've got plenty more coming your way. Thanks for watching and see you next time. Produced by Warner Movie Recaps.